Guys, when's International Women's Day?
8th of March. Come on, Dad. Everyone knows that.
Alright, sorry. When's International Men's Day then?
19th of November. That isn't really the point, is it, Dad? It's the most important day of the year to celebrate women's achievements.
You're right, that is important. And what does International Women's Day mean to you, Dora? Right, thank you. Kit, what do you think?
It brings attention to women's rights.
I'm looking forward to finding out more. Happy International Women's Day!
You stupid man. International Women's Day!
This is Michelle Obama, the first African-American First Lady of the United States. This is Frida Kahlo, a Mexican artist who had a life that was quite difficult as she was often very unwell. Frida painted over 200 pieces of artwork which are famous now all over the world. This is Greta Timberg, a Swedish teenager who inspired people all over the world to fight against climate change. Greta has Asperger's syndrome and has described this as a gift and said being different is a superpower. This is Malala, a teenager who grew up in Pakistan. When she was there, girls were told they couldn't go to school anymore, and she spoke up, saying that that was wrong. She now fights for women's rights for education all over the world. Happy International Women's Day, everybody. This is a really exciting day. And do you know that people have been celebrating International Women's Day for over 100 years now? The first celebration happened in the year 1911. So that was about 110 years ago, goodness me. Now, International Women's Day is all about celebrating the achievements of women, and it's for everybody to do. You've just heard about a few amazing women across the world. And what I want to do now is hand over to some of your favourite teachers for them to tell you a little bit about their favourite famous women. Now, when you're watching, I want you to be thinking, what qualities do these women have? What makes you an achiever? What makes an achievement? Have a listen.
Hello, everybody. Today on International Women's Day is a great time to stop and think about some of the amazing women and girls in the world. We can look back at women in the past who have achieved some incredible things, as well as talking about women now who are changing the world. There are so many to choose from. I know lots of you have fantastic books at home that tell you all about some of these brilliant, famous women and girls who have made history. However, today I'm going to be telling you about somebody who's not in those books, but is still an incredibly inspirational and important woman to me. And that's my mum. There are lots of reasons why I want to celebrate my mum today as part of International Women's Day, and I wanted to share some of them with you all. This is my mum. She is very creative and she is fantastic at crocheting. She is always making beautiful blankets, gloves and slippers for her family and friends. She is an amazing cook and baker, and she loves to share all her yummy creations with us. Just look at these. Yum, yum! She's an incredible midwife and has helped and looked after hundreds of women to have their babies and supported them with their feeding. She's a great mum, and even though her children are all grown up now, she takes care of us and always looks out for us. And right now, she is helping to vaccinate people against the coronavirus. And she has already vaccinated over 250 people. So those are just some of the reasons why I'm choosing my mum as my inspirational woman for International Women's Day. Have a think about somebody in your life who inspires you. It might be somebody who has made history and who you can read about in a book, or it might be somebody that you know really well. Could be your mum, your sister, your granny. Whoever it is, happy International Women's Day, everybody.
For International Women's Day, I've decided to speak about someone who inspires me. And it's this lady here on my t-shirt, the notorious RBG. Now, she doesn't really look like the sort of person that would normally appear on a t-shirt, an older lady with her big pearl earrings, but this is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, otherwise known as the notorious RBG. She was a giant in the world of equal rights between men and women. And it's also quite funny to describe her as a giant, because actually if I stood next to her, she would come up to about here on me. She was a tiny lady and she was an American lady. Now I'm talking about her in the past because she actually died last year. But until she died, she sat on the US Supreme Court in America. And she was a pretty inspirational woman. She was the second woman to ever be nominated to the US Supreme Court, and throughout her time there she fought lots of battles against lots of people that disagreed with her to fight for more equal rights. One of the most interesting things I learned about her and her struggles to be who she wanted to be and to get where she wanted to be was that when she got a place at law school when she was young, someone said to her, "How can you justify taking the place of a well-deserving man?" And that kind of, for me, sort of summed up a lot of what her career was about. Her career was about not only proving herself, but also fighting battles for hundreds and thousands of people in America, but then also in the wider world as well. So she is a really, really, really inspirational woman, and that is who I've chosen to talk about today. And I like her so much, I've got her on a t-shirt.
Let's see. Hello everyone, I'd like to talk to you about a footballer. A footballer has won the Premier League 5 times, 7 FA Cups, a Champions League trophy, and has 140 caps for England, scoring 12 goals, as well as representing Team GB in the Olympics in 2012. Not only that, this person was awarded an MBE in 2017 for their services to football. I am talking about Alex Scott. Now, as you can hear, she's had an incredible and successful football career, but you now find her a lot on the TV. She does Football Focus, Match of the Day, Sky Sports and BT Sport, and she was one of the hosts for Sports Personality of the Year in 2020. Now, Alex was the first female pundit on BBC during the 2018 World Cup, and she now regularly appears to talk sensibly, intelligently and articulately about football. She's also been inducted into the National Football Museum Hall of Fame, that is for all footballers, not just women footballers, but all footballers. A huge sense of achievement through her career. But one of the big things she wants to do is promote women's football. And as you can see here, this is an academy she set up called the Alex Scott Academy, which targets female footballers aged 16 to 19 years. It represented the first such academy in the UK, and it really is intended to highlight the growth of the women's game. Now, the problem is Alex Scott has at times received some unkind messages and words on social media because there are some people who believe that a woman can't talk intelligently about football, which isn't true. And even her fellow pundits, such as Ian Wright, have said that she makes them be a better pundit because they research so well, and they make them really have to think about what they're saying. As you can see here, she said that I am proving to young girls that there is a space for them in what has been a very male-dominated industry. As I explained earlier, she was the first woman to be a pundit for football on BBC, and that was only in 2018. She also said, I think your own confidence, nice college value there, I think your own confidence can be the biggest roadblock. Having belief in yourself can drive you as far as you want to go. As long as I know I can, the world is my oyster. One person's opinion is just one person's opinion, and whilst I respect what people have to say, only my own judgment of myself has importance. At times, those that speak negatively are those that are too fearful to make the moves you are making. And I want to end on a poem that she wrote, sort of highlight the difficulties she's had as a female footballer, a female black footballer in particular, and some of the difficulties and the negative images that have come her way. Now, she wrote this wonderful poem. It goes like this. I was the girl that played football. I didn't really care. I was the girl that played football, long brown hair. I was the girl that played football with no regards to the colour of my skin. I was the girl that played football because I always wanted to win. Hi, hello, I am Alex Scott, and you know what? Football is me.
Hello everyone. The person that I will be celebrating this year on International Women's Day and thinking particularly about is my grandmother, Mona Macklin. We called her Nana Mac, and she was a really, really special person to me for lots of reasons. She was my grandma. But the reason that I chose to talk about her today is I think that she was really brave. When my Nana was young and she got married, it was expected that your husband takes care of you and of everything. They take care of the money, they have the job, you stay at home, you look after the children and you look after the house. And my Nana did a great job of this. She was a great wife, she was a great mum, and she was an excellent Nana. But my grandfather looked after everything, all the money, all the house, he even drove her everywhere. And so she didn't do a lot for herself and looking after herself. And then sadly, after they'd been married for almost 40 years or 50 years, he died. And this was a horrible shock for all of us. But for Nana Mac, it wasn't just the loss of a partner and someone who she loved dearly. It was a loss of someone who took care of her. And so in her 70s, she needed to learn a lot of new skills. And she was really scared. She was really nervous. The first time she went to the bank without my grandfather, she was devastated. But she got better. And quickly, she knew the names of her bank accounts. She knew how much was in there. She knew how much interest they were making. She knew how much she could spend every month. She knew the bus routes because she didn't drive, but she could tell you what time the bus took her where. And she became really independent and really proud of herself. So even though for 70 years, she'd always had men taking care of her financially, she could learn that, even though it was really scary for her. And I was really, really proud. And so by the end of her life, she was fiercely independent. She had gone from being terrified to make decisions by herself because she was raised to expect that men would help her with those things, to very much knowing her own mind and what she wanted and how to look after herself. And that's something I really, really admired about her. And it made her great fun. And it made her a wonderful role model.
Hello everyone. I am delighted to be sharing with you today information about a woman who I have always found inspirational, today on International Women's Day. I've always been really fascinated by someone called Edith Cavell. Edith Cavell was a British nurse during the First World War, and she was born in a small village not far from Norwich in Norfolk, and that's where I am from. So I remember learning all about her when I was in school, and in fact Cavell was the name of one of my school houses, and she has inspired me ever since I first learned about her when I was in school in Norwich. Now, Edith's interest in looking after others began when her father sadly became very unwell, and she took the lead in her family to assist with his care, doing all that she could to help him to return to health. It's believed that that was when Edith was first inspired to become a nurse. And then in 1896, she decided to leave the comfort of her small village home in Norfolk and begin her training at the Royal London Hospital. And she was actually trained by a very good friend of another inspirational female, Florence Nightingale, who you may have heard of. Once she had trained to be a nurse, Edith held a number of roles in British hospitals before travelling to Brussels to nurse a sick child. And at the time of the outbreak of the First World War, Edith happened actually to be at home in Norwich visiting her family. And she is said to have told those closest to her that at a time like this, I am needed now more than ever. And then she made plans to return to Belgium to help with the war effort. Like all nurses, Edith cared for the wounded, but she cared for all of the wounded and did so regardless of their nationality. She was really criticised, as it happens, by many at the time for nursing both the German and Austrian soldiers, even though they were fighting against the British. To Edith, it didn't matter where you were from. If you needed help, she wanted to assist. All lives to Edith were of equal importance, whether you were British or not. And Edith then soon began to work with others to smuggle Allied soldiers under her care out of the hospital and across the border to neutral Holland. And it's believed that she saved the lives of over 200 men when doing so, thanks to her extraordinary bravery. She actually lost her own life, sadly, in a bid to save the lives of all of those men, and she devoted her entire life to rescuing those in need. How incredibly brave of her. Edith once famously said, "I must have no hatred or bitterness towards anyone." And those words have always stayed in my mind. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Edith Cavell, and I look forward myself to hearing about all of the other inspirational women that you have learnt about over the course of this week.
It was really difficult for me to choose just one woman who inspires me to talk about today when I thought about all of the amazing, inspiring women I'm lucky to have in my life, as well as those in the world around me, and those who have been part of our history. As a teacher, I think it's really important that we never stop learning. And one of the ways we learn how to grow as individuals and as a community is by looking back at our history and the lessons we've learned from it. So I thought about a woman in history who inspires me to have the college value of courage. This can be a difficult value to embody, particularly when it comes to speaking up for what's right. One woman who showed enormous bravery and courage was Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks grew up facing unfair treatment because of the colour of her skin. At that time, black people were treated very badly and told that they were not equal to white people. Rosa grew up in a time full of rules that she knew were not right, a time where there were different rules for black people than there were for white people. When she grew up, she started working, trying to get more rights for black people and help for those who were being treated badly. One day, on her way home from work, Rosa was asked to give up her seat on the bus for a white man. Rosa said no, because she knew that was wrong. Rosa was sent to jail, but she wasn't scared because she knew what she was fighting for was right. Throughout her life, Rosa decided to keep fighting, and she inspired others to do the same. She fought for the rights of black people, she fought for voting rights, she fought for women's rights, and she fought for the rights of people in prison. She was one of the most important figures in the civil rights movement, and she sparked the movement that ended the unfair treatment of black people. I am inspired by her bravery and her courage to live her life through actions that speak up for what's right. Last month, it was the anniversary of Rosa's birthday, and I took that as an opportunity to read more about her life. While I was doing so, I came across lots of photographs from across her lifetime, and the picture I enjoyed looking at the most was this one. So often, when we think about what it takes to be a powerful person, we think about qualities that are often associated with boys, being hard, being strong. But I look at Rosa in this picture here, and I see a really elegant lady. Here we have an elegant woman, and a revolutionary about to make history. What a wonderful reminder that the two are not mutually exclusive. Rosa said, "You must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right." So today, I encourage you to have courage, to be brave, just like Rosa.
Well, I hope, like me, you found those stories really inspirational. And something that I picked up from hearing all of those wonderful tales was that it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are or where you live. If you want to make a difference and if you want to really achieve, you can. And all of us, every single one of us, has the opportunity to do that in life. It made me think about this book, I Am One. It's called A Book of Action. It's a lovely, lovely picture storybook. I won't read it to you now because I know this assembly is a long one, but it will be up in my office and I will bring it to the Skills for Life lessons. And it really reminds us that just one of us, one person alone, if you believe, if you think about those college values of courage, creativity and confidence, then you can be and you can do whatever you would like to do. Here are some of my favourite books all about inspirational women. Well, we're coming to the end of our assembly now, and I would like you to take the opportunity today and across this week to really think about the girls and women in your life that are really important to you. Of course, it's important to celebrate everybody's achievements, regardless of gender. However, this week we really think about International Women's Day, and across the course of your lessons this week, you'll learn a little bit more about why it's so important to remember some of the hardships that women faced, but how they're coming out stronger than ever now. Well done, everybody. It's lovely to have you back in school today. I cannot wait to see you all in person. Have a lovely day and enjoy this quote from Coco Chanel, a famous woman from the past who was a French designer. Look her up and find out what she did.